In today's episode, we're speaking with Mr. Ed Nematalla, who is the youngest son of the late Very Reverend Father Mina Nematalla. Ed, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And I think that's one of the many reasons why he became a candidate, or he received the Order of Australia Medal, and I believe you were there with him.
I was actually. It was unbelievable. I think Dad received the medal for his service to the community in general. It wasn't just the Egyptians that he helped, or he was basically involved with a lot of things. He wanted to spread the Orthodox religion, not to other communities, but he wanted to make his presence felt in terms of, this is the Coptic Church, this is what we're on about, this is what we need to do, this is who we are. And he was very proud of who we are, and I think he wanted to not instill, but he wanted to make sure that everybody realized that we were Egyptians, we were Copts, we had our own rights, we had our own religion. And that being said, he helped a lot of people. He was involved in a lot of things with a lot of communities, and it wasn't just the Australian community, it was the Greeks, it was the Italians, he was involved in as many countless communities he was involved with, and he helped a lot of people, not just from the Egyptian community, it was any community. If anybody came to Dad for help, he would give them the best advice to his ability. He would set them on the right side. He would give them advice, and I think that was the reason that he was recognized as not just a leader of the Orthodox Church, he was a leader in the community. He was an outstanding person in the community, and it did not stop at the Orthodox community.
What an incredible person.
He was. I mean, I think it was, for someone to come out, leave what he's used to, what he knows, to come out to a land that he doesn't know anything about, and to establish a church which at this stage now is thousands of people and hundreds of churches and priests, etc. It all grew from Dad, and I think that he worked hard at it. And I mean, there would be days when I wouldn't see Dad because he would come late at night, I would be asleep, and he would leave early the next morning, so I wouldn't see him. I'd go to school, and there were days when I didn't see Dad for 2 days. And it was a matter of, he had something to do, he knew what he had to do, and that took a lot of his time. He was totally devoted to the church. He was 100% behind the idea of what he had to do and how he can grow the community.
And he was a newly ordained priest too.
He was. And I think that was very difficult for Dad, that for him to come out and start this on his own. I mean, people come out now and they've got relatives, they've got friends, they've got people that they've got a network that can help them. He had no network. He came out, he had to start everything from scratch. He was the one that had to do everything for everybody. So he was basically realized that everybody relied on him. So he wasn't just a father to us, he was a father to a lot of people. And he knew that everybody relied on him. So, and he wouldn't let anyone down. If Dad said he can do something or he would do something, you can bet your bottom dollar that he would get it done. And everybody relied on him, not just for the religious part of it. They relied on him for work, for accommodation, for general questions that they didn't know, for a lot of things that he would help them, not just at church. He was more than just a priest. He was so much more to so many people that he would be able to, if you had a problem with your kids at school, or you had a problem with your wife at home, or you had a problem at work, he was so much more. And that was, I think, that was a really big job for one person to do at his age in a country that was so foreign to him.
Yeah, one can only imagine what he went through.
Absolutely.
And tell us about the first visit of a Coptic patriarch coming to Australia. That would have been the late Pope Shenouda II. The hype and the excitement, I can only imagine what it was like.
It was a great atmosphere. And the Pope came to Mount Druitt, which is the first church that was actually built in Australia. He came out, and there was a great day, big block of land. The church was built, and it was not like you have it now, where the roads established and the concrete driveways, and it was a little bit in the process of establishing, but it was a great day. It was a great, I think, recognition that this is the first church to be built in Australia and not a church that was actually acquired or bought as an existing church.
احنا نشكر ابونا مينا لعدة اسباب. نشكره لانه هو اول كاهن خدم في استراليا، وخدم من يناير 69 واحنا في 89، يعني اكتر من 20 سنة بيخدم في استراليا. ده عمر جديد.
And that was Archangel Michael and Saint Bishoy.
Correct, at Mount Druitt. Yeah.
And that's the one he stayed in until the departure, until
That's
the end
correct.
of his life.
Yep, and he's actually buried there at the moment.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Moving on, you mentioned there were some services that your Abuna Mina, your dad, relied on, things like the deacons and the responses and congregations. Growing up and looking ahead, I do believe there were other services that you were entrusted with, particularly for all of the churches. I think Palm Sunday and getting the palm branches is a big one. Tell us about that.
Well, obviously, with being in a foreign country, you need palms for Palm Sunday. We didn't have any palms on site, or we didn't have any property that we as Copts can get the palms from. So there used to be a group of people that used to go out and get permission, and sometimes not get permission, and we'd go out and we'd get the palms for Palm Sunday. I mean, I still do it till today. I'm still involved in that. It's very rewarding to do that, and we've now, with a little bit of planning, we've been able to plant palm trees at Penrith, at one of our churches at Landilo, and hopefully in a few years' time we don't need to rely on parks or other churches to get our palm from, and we can actually harvest the palm from those trees.
That's amazing. And just on that, we can see the development and the growth from the very first day when Father Mina landed to now 50 years later. As you said, we're harvesting our own palm leaves for Palm Sunday. What are some other big changes that you've seen evolving in the church over the past 50 years?
I think the main thing is the assimilation of the Egyptians that came back then into the community. Most of the Egyptians that came out at the early stage assimilated very well into the community. They're all fantastic business people, or they're well educated, they're doctors or lawyers or whatever. And I think the best thing about it is that the people back then were a real close-knit community. And as they grew, obviously there are communities in every church, but the network that was available then was really heartwarming. That you can see how they developed, how they got along. Everybody knew everybody. It was a real community atmosphere. I mean, these communities exist within every church at the moment, of course, but back then, because it was the one church, because it was the one community, it was really good. It was really nice. Everybody knew everybody. It was really different. Now, the network has grown so much that you can go to another church and not know who the people are, because there are just thousands of people now, obviously. But it was different, and I think it was a very difficult time for the Egyptians back then when they came out. It was a struggle. Nowadays, there is so much offered to them that they can just fit in. They've got the network to support them, whereas back then they had to depend on themselves. And I think they've done a really good job when they first came out.
Ed, thank you so much for your time and for taking us through those wonderful stories and for reminiscing with us, particularly about the service and also the great work that your dad, the late Father Mina Nematalla, did.
Thank you.
We thank you for your time.
Good on you.